Howdy folks, Spencer here, and today I want to talk about the Mirror Strike Wing Escort. This is a ship that came out several years ago, in December of 2018, through the Infinity Lockbox, which means that up to this point, the only ways to acquire this ship were via a T6 ship pack, or via the player exchange, typically for over $1 billion EC, which means that the cost on average for this ship was over $100 to unlock it for a single character. The reason it's being talked about now is because they have dropped it into the 12th anniversary Terran bundle, but the caveat is you have to buy the entire bundle to acquire it. You cannot acquire it on its own in the C-Store like you can the other Terran ships. If you want it, you have to buy the actual bundle, which will cost you the 13,000 Zen. But, I think for a lot of people, especially people that have been wanting this ship, that being in the pack alone at that price point is going to be worth it because, as I said, the only way to acquire it before the 12th anniversary pack was via the exchange or lockbox, and it would be over $100 to acquire it for a single character. So obviously getting it unlocked account-wide via the Terran bundle is a much better deal. And when you factor in that you're also getting 4 other new Terran ships and you're getting a T6 ship coupon, that means that you're paying basically $22 per ship from this bundle. So it's much more obtainable via this new bundle, and it's going to make it, that much more accessible. So why do people care about this ship? Well, it's not really because of the stats of the ship. It is a good performer, and I will show how well it performs later on. But the reason people care really is because of the secondary benefits the ship has. The first and the primary one being the starship trait, Superior Area Denial, or often referred to as SAD. And what SAD does is when you hit fire at will or scatter volley, now keep in mind, you don't have to fire out any weapons, you just need to hit the bridge officer abilities. So when you hit that fire at will or the scatter volley on your build, it is triggering Superior Area Denial, and it is going to buff up your Hangar Pets by giving them a fire at will 1 and scatter volley 1, and it's going to upgrade your energy weapons for 20 seconds to apply a damage resistance debuff of 30 to any targets that you hit. That debuff does not stack from yourself, but it does refresh every time you hit the target. If you are playing with other people that have SAD, then it will stack with their SAD, but you cannot stack your own SAD on top of itself. So this is a trait that every high-end support build is using at a high level. Each of the supports in these record-setting runs that are doing like 2 million DPS, they're all using SAD. Everyone doing a carrier build, or trying to do a carrier build, is using SAD because it massively buffs up certain Hangar Pets. Now, I'm going to pull up on screen a thread on Reddit from Dillazerk that has some testing information about SAD and how it impacts certain Hangar Pets, and I will have this link down below in the description if you want to check it out. Just know that this is from 5 months ago, so it is missing some data on newer pets like the Alliance fighter squadrons that just came out with the Drock. But from what I understand, while those do perform quite well, the rare Todouge fighter squadrons are still the top performer for Hangar Pets. So talking about those rare Todouge, let's take a look at how they do with and without SAD. Without SAD, they do 7,600 DPS. With SAD, they do 43,000. Now, not every Hangar Pet receives a massive boost like this, and you can see that on the spreadsheet. There are some that barely get a boost, and there are some that take a massive boost from SAD. But, it is all over the place, and you do need to know going into this that not everything is going to get like a 6 times buff just from running SAD. But almost all of these Hangar Pets will have a benefit of some sort, especially if you're firing off energy weapons at the same time, as that debuff at least is going to increase the amount of damage that everything is doing to the targets you're shooting. So SAD massively buffs Hangar Pets, and it also debuffs things, which just increases the damage against those targets for anyone shooting them. Another reason people buy this ship is, while we're on the topic of Hangar Pets, is the Hangar Pets that are included with the ship, which are the Mirror Universe shuttlecraft. And the elite versions of those from the Fleet Starbase are extremely popular on torp builds. If I go back to the Reddit spreadsheet here, you can see that Dilizerk has ratings for which pets are good under certain conditions, and for torp builds, you would want to run the Elite Mirror Universe Shuttlecraft because they don't have any torps on them. The issue with the Todouge fighter squadrons for a torp boat is that they have torps on them, and those torps can steal the concentrate firepower procs off your targets and lower your damage output, because that's an issue torpedo boats have to worry about. So these Elite Mirror Universe Shuttlecraft perform quite well, and they don't have a torp on them, which means that they are the pet of choice for torp boats. And if I pull up a parse here, this is from a run I did back in December. You can see that while the overall percentage of the damage from the pets wasn't huge, that they still performed fairly well. And in a run like this, they probably aren't allowed to perform as well as they could because of just how fast things are dying. But 21k on a torp run here from the pets, it's okay. It's nothing crazy, but it is, every little bit adds up. So they are very good for torp boats. They're basically, if you're running pets on a torp boat, they're what you want to run. Now, the experimental weapon on this ship it's not a great damage dealer, but it does have a nice pull effect on it, and it does debuff things. So this is the Graviton Implosion charges, and like I said, they're not the best damage dealer. In fact, there's another Reddit post I can pull up that shows that they're not the best thing ever. Lost Key 2 put this together a year ago, and the Graviton Implosion projector, it didn't perform that well damage-wise, but it does have that nice secondary effect of the debuff and the control aspect. So, as I said, it's not the best thing ever, but it'll work. And if you're really trying to do like a pin and spike build, which I'll talk about here in a minute or two, then it's going to do really well with a ship like this. Now, for the console that the ship has, this console actually also has a very good use case on high-end exotic science builds. The passives on this console, they don't matter. They're pretty minor, so they don't have much of an impact, but the clicky on it chains an electrical damage effect to your primary target and any of the secondary and tertiary targets around it, and it also debuffs them quite a bit. So if I pull up a high-end EPG build, let me find the parse here. You can see that some of these high-end HSE runs are using this console because of the damage it does and the debuff it applies. So it didn't do a ton of damage for Kenobi in his 1.5 million Hive Elite run, but the debuff aspect of it is still quite nice, and it is a reason that a lot of people do use it. So that is another reason people look at the ship, because the console on it is useful for EPG builds. Now, the ship itself, it's not the best performer, but it's not weak. It is a very strong ship. If you're setting up cannons on it or beam overload, it's going to work extremely well. So what I set up on mine is just a basic cannon scatter volley build, all dual heavy cannons forward, turrets aft. I just quickly slapped this together. This build's not perfect. I know that there's things that I should be changing around here, but I just wanted to try some things out. So the ship did extremely well in some test environments that I put it through. But before I jump into those, let me go over the bridge officer stations. We've got a Commander TAC, a Lieutenant Commander Science, a Lieutenant Commander Universal with Temporal Operative, a Lieutenant Engineer with Intel, and an Ensign Universal. This ship has access to a ton of Unconventional Systems triggers. So Unconventional Systems is a personal trait that I've talked about, and I know other content creators have talked about a ton at this point. But basically, each time you hit a control bridge officer ability, you're getting a cooldown reduction to your universal consoles. And with a ship like this, with this type of seating, you have access to a ton. If I wanted, I could change both of these the Lieutenant Engineer / Intel Seat abilities to Uncon abilities. You would be taking a hit at that point. You'd have to drop your emergency power to engines basically to do that. But you could, if you wanted, and apparently I don't have them trained, but you could run 8 unconventional systems triggers on this ship. Actually, you could run 9 if you wanted, I guess, because you could run the 3 temporal ones. You could run 3 science ones on the Lieutenant Commander Science. You could run the 2 Intel ones. And then you could run another science on the Ensign Universal. So you can run a ton of Uncon abilities on the ship if you want. But you are going to be taking a hit if you want to go that far. I think what I've done here, I've got 5 Uncon triggers on this ship. I could have another in this Lieutenant Commander temporal slot, but I wanted the recursive shearing for the damage that does. You could get a lot of cooldown reduction, basically, is what I'm saying, on this ship for your consoles. And I'm going to show you that with an ISA that I did with the ship just a little bit ago. Just note, my piloting is not great. This was before I had a coffee, and I forgot to hit forward at some points. But this was just a Pug ISA, and after this I'll show an Argala for people that want to see like the solo environment. But with cannons, you know, this thing just tears through things, and that's cannons are always something that perform extremely well if they fire. I tried to fire here at the center, but I apparently had a weapons disable go off at a great time there. But I do want to point out, if you're paying close attention, I'm going to pause this for a second, the domino console over here at the right side of the screen, I hit this at the start of the run. We are 36 seconds in, and it's already down to like a 30-second cooldown. So that's the benefit of having all of these Uncon abilities on there with unconventional systems, and I'm not even hitting them as fast as I could be here. Like, I am making mistakes in this run left and right. This is a very sloppy run, where I had my coffee this morning even, but you can see that 50 seconds into the run, I was able to hit domino again. That is a console that has a 2-minute cooldown, but I'm getting so much cooldown reduction via the abilities that I'm running that I'm hitting it, 50 seconds into the run after I hit it right at the start of the run. So you get a lot of cooldown reduction, and the ship, performs quite well. Like this ISA was 458k. And if I pull up the Argala, so this was an elite Argala. I know people like to see how the ships perform in a solo environment that they recognize, so once again, this is Argala on elite, and the cannon scatter volley just tears through things. With the build that I put together on it just to fly around with the ship was like a pin and spike style build, is what they're often referred to. Sarcasm Detector, I think, coined that name several years ago. You're basically using gravity well and tractor beam to lock a target down, and then you're going in with the cannons and just hitting them as hard as possible. So that start was a bit slow, but the rest of the run should be pretty fast. Like, cannon scatter volley, even with these things on elite, a proper cannon scatter volley build just tears through the content this game has. It's why I recommend to people who reach out to me, like, I will recommend a cannon scatter volley build because of just how effective it is. There is the issue, though, that it does have increased piloting requirements, but if you play the game long enough, you should be able to get used to facing towards the target. But, like I said, this is on elite difficulty. This is as hard as Argala gets, and it just tears right through them. So this did have a few mistakes in it from me too, but can't always be perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, and even though some people think I'm a bit of a bot with the ISE runs, I I assure you that I am often making mistakes. So that was an Argala Elite in just above 2 minutes. And yeah, that just, this ship, is it the best layout ever? No. Is it a good enough layout? Yeah, this ship will do any content this game has in it. Like, this ship is more than capable of performing at a very high level. It's just, people don't run it because we've got the Tort meta in Elite. And for advanced content, you go in with something like a Vodwar Juggernaut and it just blitzes right through the content. But overall, the ship is good. It is a very good performer if you like cannons or if you like beam overload with dual beam banks. That this ship would work well with that, especially with the recursive shearing. This ship has a good console for EPG builds. The pets on it are great for torque bolts. The experimental weapon is great for those that want a experimental weapon that applies a debuff and has some control on it. And the trait is useful in many different parts of the game. As I said before, all of the high-end supports use it on the record-setting runs. The tanks are running it for the debuff. The people doing hangar or like carrier builds out there are running this for the buff it gives to Hangar Pets. Like, there are many reasons people like this ship, and it was really expensive before. As I said at the beginning, it would cost you like $100 to acquire this ship for a single character. And now, because of the new Terran bundle, you're going to be able to get it account wide in that bundle. So that is the reason, one of the big reasons I was excited for this bundle. I mean, the new ships do excite me also, but having this ship available account wide is going to make it much easier for me to set up new characters if I want. But I've been talking for a while here. I do appreciate everyone that has stopped by and listened. If you have any questions or comments about this ship, feel free to ask. It's a very capable ship, and if I were stuck with this ship, I wouldn't be unhappy. Like, this ship will go and get the job done. It's a very strong performer. I will be doing reviews of all of the new ships in a similar format to this, most likely Friday through Monday, I believe. Just doing one ship a day, and it looks like I'm going to be starting off with the Odyssey, then the Defiant, the Trailblazer, and then the Galaxy. Not many people seem to like the Galaxy for a couple of reasons I can think of. But yeah, I'll be covering all the new ships in a format similar to this. Let me know if there's, something I should change. Should I go with a slightly different approach, whatever? Just let me know. The feedback is appreciated. But that is it for today. One last thing I'll note, I will be streaming tomorrow, February 17th at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. That should be right around when the servers come up. And I will be messing around with the new bundle, the new ships. If you have any questions or comments about the new ships, feel free to hop into that stream and ask away while I'm testing things. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. See you all next time.